My wife, 19 female, and I got married yesterday. I should say that we are members of a Christian church, and my parents take it very seriously. I'd like to think that I do too as well. However, I love more than anything the example of love and acceptance that true Christianity is. My wife's outward appearance can be a little frightening to any unaccepting Christian due to her short hair and her septum piercing. Any piercings other than one simple ear piercing are met with judgment within the church and can cause some contention, if you're not accepting, of course. While my mom has not explicitly talked to me about it, one can assume that it instantly shaped her opinion of my wife from the second they met. I was hesitant to expose my wife to my mom while we were still dating, because she had been less than supportive of every girlfriend I had previously had, despite them being devout Christians and more conservative than my wife. However, my mom was generally kind and accepting up until last week. My mom wanted to take one last vacation with her family while I was still not married. We had a good vacation for about a week and a half, and there were no hiccups in any familial relationships, and there was general excitement and acceptance about my upcoming wedding. The night we got back from the vacation, I wanted to sleep over with my then fiancé at our new apartment. We obviously weren't married yet, and we were not planning on participating in any kind of sexual activity, and we did not. My parents, especially my mom, did not take this well at all. She was repeatedly texting me, telling me that I needed to come home, and each text was more and more angry. This was a little bit of a shock to me, considering that I have been living on my own for about 3 years. Full disclosure, on our vacation, she had offered to pay our rent at our new place. Because of this, she paid our deposit, about twice the value of the rent, and then sent me the second month's rent as well. My wife and I were planning on paying this by ourselves and were not worried about it very much. However, we were going to accept this help. Up until this moment, the only financial support I'd been receiving from her was my phone payment, around $60 a month, car insurance, she gave me the car several years ago, health insurance, Netflix, and the occasional meal. She also contributed about $1,600 to my wife's engagement ring. She offered to do that without my asking, but I was grateful and accepted the help. Until then, I had been working and paying my own rent and college tuition by myself. I was caught by surprise that she would be so mad that I was spending the night at my new apartment with my then fiancé, considering that I'd been on my own for so long, and had actually slept the night at my then fiancé's place on multiple occasions. I asked her to respect that I was an adult and to respect my personal ability to make that decision. That did not go over well, and she said we needed to talk about the decisions that she had made. I imagined that she was going to stop paying for our rent. It was hard for me to think that she was willing to severely damage our relationship over this. The next morning, I sent a text saying that I was sorry and I wanted to save our relationship. I said that she could stop supporting me in any way, but that I didn't want this to ruin our relationship. I told her I'd sleep with a friend who lives down the street. She replied, "Okay." Due to all of this, everything was very tense, and we weren't talking very much at all, with the exception of a few texts, and one time that my wife and I stopped at her house to pick up a few things. Fast forward a few days to when my wife's parents flew in for the wedding, one day before the big day. They were going to take us and my parents out for dinner to meet them. They belong to the same Christian church and are extremely loving and accepting and kind. I was very worried that my mom would say something to them during the dinner, and I was very nervous. There was a little mix-up on when and where to go for dinner. I told her where it would be, and it'll be around blank time. When we clarified where to go and when, we showed up, and before introducing herself to my wife's parents, she said, "We need to work on OP's communication skills." She recently didn't speak with my sister, her daughter, for 6 months due to some tension there. It didn't feel good to be talked poorly about the second she met my future in-laws. Then, later in the evening, she said that people with southern accents are generally less intelligent than other people, and people who say y'all are probably missing teeth. This hurt because my wife and both of her parents are from the South. The dinner didn't go well, but my wife's parents were good sports, being very understanding of my situation and accepting of me. So, the wedding was yesterday. I wanted to talk to my mom beforehand to make sure that she didn't make any comments like that during the ceremony and potentially ruin the experience for my wife. When she arrived, I asked to speak with her, and I first told her I wanted her to stop paying our rent, and I explained that the reason behind that was that it wasn't worth how she's treating us. She asked what she had been doing, and I explained that last night was terrible. She brought up my communication, which was out of pocket due to her personal communication pitfalls with her daughter, and I brought up how she insulted my wife's entire parentage. My mom took this personally and instantly walked over to my mother-in-law, interrupted her conversation, and asked if what she said last night was offensive. My mother-in-law had my back, and she said that it was offensive, and my mom said, well, it was about something else, and walked away. While we were finishing the conversation, I said to her about 7 times that I want to have a good relationship with her, and that's why I was talking to her. She brought over my dad, and there was a lot of interrupting and yelling, and I kept repeating that I wanted a good relationship, and it wasn't worth any support she was giving us. She disagreed and actually said that I didn't want a good relationship with her. She said, with a smiling face, that she could not attend my wedding and be perfectly fine, and asked me several times if I wanted her to leave. I said no, and walked away to avoid a total screaming match because I want a good relationship and want to avoid contention. The ceremony was beautiful, and the group photos were a little awkward considering what had happened. They wanted to leave without speaking to me, and my mother-in-law encouraged me to go say goodbye before they drove away. As I peeked in the car, my mom said, "I am more hurt than you could possibly imagine." I was really confused, considering that I repeated, "I want to have a good relationship with you," about 7 times in our earlier conversation. She told my dad to drive away without giving me the chance to say anything, and he did. On the way home, she canceled my phone plan, my car and health insurance, and told me she'd be paying off a credit card she took out in my name entirely, with the exception of the deposit on our new apartment, the second month's rent, and the $1,600 she contributed to the engagement ring. She told me to come pick up any things I have at her house, or she'll take them to the dump. She also said she'd think about any other contributions she's made, and leave that on the card to pay off as well. All of this was conveyed to my wife over text, who had been my wife for 2 hours at most. I messaged her this morning from my computer, wishing her a happy Mother's Day, and saying that our relationship wasn't worth the loss of support, and that when she is ready for a good relationship, I'll be there. She messaged me back saying that this was all my doing, and I needed to realize that. I needed to salvage relationships with my siblings, and that I devastated her last night. She has done really toxic things in the past and threatened to destroy relationships with her kids, divorce my dad, but nothing this bad. I don't know what I did, and I don't know how to proceed. Help! That was quite a story. Good God. Look, if you're mature enough and old enough to get married, then you're also old enough to pay all your bills by yourself. I know you didn't ask her for handouts, gifts, payments, and she gave them of her own will. But it's time to cut your mom off and figure out your finances with your wife. If it means downgrading to a smaller apartment, then so be it. Your mom's actions are toxic. The way she's taking back money she gave you as potential gifts is sad. And the way she treated your wife's family and disrespected you all on your damn wedding is just... Earn your own coin. Downgrade, adjust, and manage till you're completely financially independent. Please don't try to keep a good relationship with her by giving in to whatever ego massage she currently wants. Don't play these games. Don't go begging, and don't take money from family anymore. You're a big boy now. Also, cutting her off can mean different things depending on your family dynamics. It may mean meeting for holidays and being aloof and civil when together, or it may mean a complete full stop on communication and meeting. That's up to you to decide. We went to the beach, and everyone I came with was wearing shorts and t-shirt. I had my bikini under mine, so I don't think they knew beforehand that I would bring one, nor did I know they wouldn't. We got out, and I undressed on the beach, excited to swim. Everyone gave me side eyes, but carried on to the water. I stayed behind to unpack the stuff with significant other's mother and sister-in-law. Sister-in-law looks me up and down and says, "Is that what you're wearing?" And I said, "Yeah, I wanted to swim too." She gives me a weird look and says, "Around kids?" I was hella confused, so I just said, "Yeah, is that weird?" She responds, "Well, I wouldn't wear that. I don't dress like that around kids." I said, "Oh, sorry." We look at each other for a second before she says, "Well, what are you going to do about it?" Significant other's mom was about as confused as I was at this point. I said, "Swim?" And she asked me to put my clothes back on before going around her children and to never dress like that around her kids. I didn't really want to swim at this point, so I said, "I don't really have a change of clothes, but I guess I can stay on the beach." So I watched everyone swim while I was ruminating on what just happened, still confused, hella confused. I thought wearing a bikini at the beach was normal. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I'm just gonna give a quick Q&A. Question: what bikini were you wearing? Answer: just a normal two-piece, no butt showing and not too much cleavage. Question: where was significant other? Answer: he was swimming when it happened, and after about 10 minutes of me sitting on the beach, he came over and asked why I wasn't swimming. I told him I didn't feel too comfortable swimming anymore, and I'll tell him why later. He told me to stop being ridiculous, and I said something about not ruining the day, so we talked later at home. He comforted me and told me that if sister-in-law says anything of that kind again, to get him straight away to deal with it. Question: what was everyone else wearing? Answer: everyone else was either in t-shirt or shorts. Some men were in just shorts. We were all on a public beach, but away from any of the other swimmers, so it was just us then. Question: why didn't mother-in-law say anything? Answer: well, to be honest, we both don't get along with the sister-in-law. So we both kind of just learned to stay out of her way, since when she's challenged, she spins stories to her husband, and he believes her and immediately defends her, sometimes a little too strongly. Also, we were both stunned by her response, which will probably explain as well why we both didn't say much. To clarify, there were 14 of us at the beach. 7 kids, 7 adults. No one in a bikini but me. Significant other's family were religious when he was young, but haven't gone to church for years. Except, of course, his sister-in-law, who still attends. Only she had a problem. I live in Aussie, where it's fairly normal as well to wear a bikini. Sister-in-law is a puritanical weirdo. It's absolutely normal to wear a bikini at the beach. If her kids are going to be so damaged by seeing someone in normal swimwear attire, then she should keep them inside and out of harm's way. My wife, Tess, and I have 4 kids: Ethan, 20, Adam and May, 15, and Theo, 2. I was apprehensive when we got pregnant with Theo. I felt too old to be a dad again. My mother-in-law has passed, and she used to help babysit a lot. I have worked hard to hopefully retire at 55. Tess was never a mumsy type. How we'd long fantasized about being that 40-year-old couple who goes on cruises while our friends are chasing after kiddos. Don't get me wrong, I love being a dad. My favorite time in my life when I took 3 months off work when the twins were born to look after them. If I could snap my fingers and be in my early 30s with 3 young kids again, I would. Another baby just isn't realistic for me now. In the end, it was Tess's choice, so I left it up to her. She kept Theo. I love him. I'd die for him. But I also wish he'd been terminated. I'm exhausted all the time. I wake up at 5 a.m. when Theo does and take care of him while getting ready for work. Tess takes over when I leave for work at 8 a.m. I get home at 6 p.m. after working all day and take care of Theo and put him to bed at 7:30 p.m. After that, I cook dinner and help the twins with their homework. I might get some time for myself before going to bed at 9:30. Rinse and repeat 6 days a week. I have Theo all day Sunday too. Since it's summer holidays and the twins don't have school, I have them helping a bit more. They have Theo on alternating Sundays and watch him in the mornings while I get ready for work. It's made the world of difference on my mental health. I've been dreading the school year starting again in January, so I sat them down the other day and made rules for school. I said May is going to watch Theo on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings from 4 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Adam was going to do the same, but on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. May would have Theo from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Sundays, and Adam from 2:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Obviously, I would have Theo for the middle of the day. I did take note of the fact that this prevents them from getting part-time jobs, and offered to pay them each $10 an hour normally and $15 per hour on Sundays. I half expected them to be elated. Instead, Adam started screaming about how I could pay him $200 per hour and he would still hate every minute of it. May just went to her room. Once I got Adam to calm, he told me that he and May are tired of picking up the slack. He informed me that during school terms, he and May already watch Theo once they get home, until I get home. Apparently, when Tess hears my car pull up, she rushes out to grab Theo and pretends she's been watching him. All day Saturday, it's the same apparently. Tess even forces May and Adam to play sick sometimes on school days so they can watch Theo all day, and if they refuse, she drives to school to sign them out for the day. I did think they had a lot of time off school, but I figured it was because we had a germy baby in the house making them sick. Since it's the holidays, it's been worse. They basically watch Theo all day every day while Tess lays in bed. Their only breaks for the last several weeks have been when I come home from work or on their off Sunday. Now, I do believe kids should have responsibilities. May is in charge of keeping the entire house, excluding Adam's bedroom, spotless. I'm in real estate and tell May that if the house isn't open house level clean by the time I get home, then she hasn't done her job. Adam is in charge of the laundry, dishes, and mowing the lawn fortnightly. I just don't believe forcing kids to raise kids is teaching them to be responsible. Kids learn by watching, and all they're watching is their parents palming off their mistakes on people who can't say no. I also just want my kids to have a happy childhood. Being a parent is a huge responsibility and very unfun if the kid isn't wanted. No way would raising a sibling be fun for any child. After May corroborated Adam's story, I talked to Tess about it. She immediately accused them of lying. I said I needed time. Tess kept sending me links to articles about narcissism and insisting May and Adam are afflicted. I did ask the twins why they never said anything, and apparently, Tess told them she'd stop loving them and never forgive them if they told. I sent May and Adam to stay with my parents several hours away. Tess is still denying everything. I don't know who to believe. I wouldn't know what to do if the twins are telling the truth. Divorce sounds extreme. Tess refuses to talk about it and says I need to just believe her. I'm lost. It's not your children's responsibility to look after your mental health or their toddler sibling. They are kids that you and your wife decided to bring into this world, and now you're dumping your adult responsibilities on them. Forget your early retirement. Start paying for a real nanny. Your poor children haven't had the opportunity to be children at all. Please tell your wife you believe the kids and you're giving her a chance to tell the truth, and that it's okay if she needs help, but it's not okay to lie. I'm sure she'll confess, but even if she doesn't admit the truth, do what's best for your kids and hire a nanny.